Crusader Kings 3 is coming on September 1st, and we've been able to take the reins of several dynasties, leading them to riches and ruin. Like its predecessor, it's a dense game, so we've picked out the 5 best changes Paradox has made to the formula. Crusader Kings 3 is mind-bogglingly massive. It covers the same space as the last game, though the frayed edges of the eastern side of the map suggest it will grow. Instead of barely fitting the unit models, they're more like you'd expect in Total War, full of topographical touches and large areas for your armies to march across. Holdings like churches and towns are now physically displayed on the map, each with slots that allow you to upgrade and tweak them. These are your baronies, now liberated from the menus to become tangible provinces that you can fiddle around with directly from the map itself. As well as looking a damn sight prettier, the map is also a lot more legible now that Paradox isn't trying to cram so much into one tiny space. Just at a glance, you can get an impression of a country, its geography, how many holdings it has, and where you should send your armies. Terrain is more granular too, so there's a distinction between similar terrain types depending on where they are in the world, extending beyond the visuals and creating some practical differences. Every character in Crusader Kings 3 has a lifestyle. In role-playing terms, they're your classes, and you can pick whatever you want, but you'll get a bonus if your choice lines up with their childhood experiences. If your ruler was constantly getting into playground brawls as a kid, you might want to consider the martial lifestyle, though an entirely different one may be more beneficial depending on the state of your dynasty. Lifestyles are split into 3 trees, each of which has an associated focus that gives you an additional thematic bonus as long as it's selected. In keeping with Crusader Kings 3's anything goes attitude, you can mix and match or change to a new focus of lifestyle whenever it tickles your fancy. All the perks can also be reset, so you won't find yourself in a situation where you're stuck with a mistake. This doesn't mean that you can just recreate your character, however, as they're still the sum of their experiences and relationships, good and bad. Instead, it's just like finding a new hobby. Some of the perks you get from these trees give you substantial bonuses, like making you tougher and healthier, hopefully ensuring a longer rule, or they can even affect other members of your dynasty. Some, however, are downright forgettable. But whether they're big or a bit dull, together they flesh out your ruler, making them a distinct character that you've built over decades. Whatever you pick, the game adapts. If guile and intrigue your forte, you'll be making a lot of shady deals and sneaking around. But Crusader Kings 3 will also throw a lot of events at you, often kicking off emergent story moments that go in unexpected directions. It's very reactive, giving each lifestyle a distinctive narrative flavour that's further enhanced by your own choices and random chance. Crusader Kings 3 gives budding puppet masters a great deal to play with. Even if you don't pick an intrigue lifestyle, you can expect a lot of opportunities for scheming and assassinations. Schemes replace the previous game's plot system and once again allow you to plan someone's murder, or maybe just trick them into becoming your friend. The system is a lot clearer when it comes to showing you how the plot is progressing. Each month, the game does a calculation to determine if the scheme moves forward, but you can influence them further through events. Maybe you'll uncover a secret passage, or get an opportunity to scout out a good location for a murder. There are usually a few choices for you to pick, though the results will depend on you and your agent's skills and abilities, as well as a bit of luck. Then, there are the hooks. A hook is something that you can hold over someone, using it to influence their actions. You gain these by learning a secret, like maybe a member of your court is having an affair, or likes to have sex with footwear, which then gives you the opportunity to air their dirty laundry, or if you're a bit sneakier, blackmail them with it. You can get cash, force them to join your schemes, or persuade them into voting for your candidate in an upcoming election. If you're sick about being blackmailed because you keep hooking up with somebody else's spouse, you can make dramatic changes in what people consider acceptable by creating a custom faith. Faiths are all attached to historical religions, but can be tweaked with a long list of rules to set them apart, going well beyond the religious rituals they get up to. By making a custom faith, you can influence how people view sexuality or gender, making your medieval society a bit more progressive, and using religion to actually improve things. Or you can just tell everyone that cannibalism is totally cool now. Creating a new faith can only be done if you've gathered up enough piety, and followers of the old faith won't be big fans, potentially kicking off a bloody holy war. The AI will create their own faiths too, though they're based on historical heresies. like the lollards who constantly caused problems in Crusader Kings 2. When you're building a faith, it feels a lot like creating a new culture. Everything from war to marriage is affected, and if you play your cards right, you can even make yourself the head of your new faith, giving you influence that extends well beyond your own dynasty. Strategy games often struggle with boats, and Crusader Kings 2 was no different. To get your armies across the ocean, you had to raise naval levies that were limited by the vassals that had the ability to actually construct them. This often led to multiple trips, slowly ferrying your troops to their destination and leaving them vulnerable while you went back to get the rest. Now, you hardly have to worry about seafaring shenanigans at all. Instead of raising naval levies, all your troops are bundled into boats automatically when they reach water, no matter how many of them there are. There are still costs involved, but that all happens under the hood, letting you concentrate on sending them to invade distant shores. This is particularly handy if you're playing as Vikings, or a culture who enjoys a good raid. In general, there's a lot less waiting around when you're at war. When you raise your troop levies, they automatically appear at the rally point instead of appearing at your vassal's province before slowly marching towards the destination. There's no more gathering them up or watching as they get picked off as you try to untangle a great big mess. There's still plenty of army management, however. In addition to your levies, you can build up specialised squads of army troops. Here, you can pick up the troop type, including lots of culture-specific units, and build yourself a standing army. You can also bolster your forces with skilled knights, who can serve as members of your court, scheming away when they're not off on a crusade. For more on Crusader Kings 3, check out our big hands-on preview on PCGamer.com.